Hello, today I'll be talking about Jotun. Jotun is an action-adventure game. You play as a dead Viking warrior who is trying to prove herself to the gods so that she can be granted access to Valhalla. So far this game has been pretty well received. On Steam it has a 9 out of 10 and it has an 8 out of 10 on IGN. So I was expecting a pretty good playthrough. However, I was a bit disappointed with this game. So the main part of this game is fighting the bosses, but before you can fight a boss, you have to complete the 2 levels that accompany each boss. With these levels, you will find shrines that will give you certain abilities which you can use against the bosses. The exploration in this game isn't really anything special. Each of these levels usually has one mechanic that is pretty much driven into the ground before the end of it, making you glad that the level is over. This is a bit problematic because the hand-drawn graphics really make you want to explore and see more of the level, but the mechanics of the level make you want to quit playing the level. So it makes exploration a bit tedious in some cases, and a lot of the map layouts are fairly confusing, and I found myself having to pause the game quite often and having to look at the map, which really should not be happening in a game like this, because really the developers, I'm pretty sure, want you to focus on the art in this game and draw from that, but instead I'm just opening up the map and looking at the map half the time. This part of the game was pretty boring, and I often found myself like wanting to quit when I was forced to play through these sections. But once you have suffered through 2 levels, you can reward yourself with a boss fight. The boss fights are without a doubt the best part of the game, but they do have flaws. One of my biggest problems with them is the combat itself. Combat consists of 3 attacks: fast, slow, and like a charge attack. However, all 3 of them feel a bit sluggish. It feels like your character was like dipped in molasses. I mean, you move incredibly slow and you attack incredibly slow. And I was using an Xbox controller, and it felt, I don't want to say unresponsive because it would do what you said. It just took a while for the animations to go through, and it took a while to actually complete it. Now, the bosses themselves, the fights consist of a boss going through a moveset. Once it has been taken below a certain health threshold, it gets a second moveset. And the boss fights are basically just a memorization game, which isn't that big of a deal. But for a game whose main draw is the boss fights, I figured that the fights would have been a bit less formulaic than they were. I was hoping for a more reactionary fight where the bosses actually respond to what I'm doing, but unfortunately that is not the case. On certain fights, you can pretty much just stand in one spot and wail on them and get the best possible outcome. Now, not all fights are like this. Some of them force you to constantly move around and dodge attacks, which I found to be a lot more fun. Now, with all this in mind, I cannot recommend this game. It has good visuals and a few good boss fights, but overall it is pretty boring, and the majority of the boss fights are nothing special, nothing to brag about. It feels like a lot of people are kind of getting swept away with the visuals in this game and forgetting about the gameplay, which is slow, generic, and unimpressive. This game is currently on Steam for $15. I will have a link to the Steam page in the description. If you played this game, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you have any criticisms of the video in general, please let me know. This has been Clintos the Gamer. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.